They won't teach you this in school. They buried it beneath centuries of silence. But in the desert sands of Sudan, beneath pyramids older than those in Egypt, lies a kingdom whose kings once wore the crowns of the Nile. A kingdom that rose from African soil to rule one of the greatest civilizations in human history. This is not the story of Egypt. This is the story of Kush. The story of black pharaohs, of warrior queens, of ancient science, astronomy, architecture, and the empire the world tried to erase. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to hear may rewrite everything you thought you knew about Africa, about Egypt, and about civilization itself. Before the fame of Ramses, before the power of Cleopatra, before the Greek philosophers wrote their myths, there was Kush. The kingdom of Kush emerged in the land today called Sudan, around 2500 BCE south of ancient Egypt along the Nile River. But Kush was no mere neighbor. It was a force, a culture, a civilization of its own. And long before Egypt dominated Kush, Kush influenced Egypt. Archaeologists like George Reisner, who led major excavations in the early 1900s, initially believed Kush to be a pale imitation of Egypt. But as more ruins, inscriptions, and relics emerged from the desert, everything changed. In the 1950s and 60s, archaeologist Peter Shinny uncovered temples at Kerma, the first great capital of Kush. There, he found massive mud brick architecture, vast cemeteries, and signs of organized religious practices. At the site of Kerma's western Defifa, a sacred building with walls over 18 meters high, Shinny realized this was no backwater copy of Egypt. This was a rival. In the 8th century BCE, a new dynasty rose in Kush, and with it came one of the most astonishing chapters in African history. From the city of Napata, near the sacred mountain of Jebel Barkal, Kushite kings began to move northward. They didn't just trade with Egypt, they conquered it. Pharaoh Piye, or Pianki, was the first black African king to unite Egypt and Kush. Around 730 BCE, he launched a military campaign that overpowered the fragmented rulers of northern Egypt. He stood before the great temples of Thebes, not as an outsider, but as a son of Amun, the chief Egyptian god, whom the Kushites also worshipped. Piye's victory, stela, carved in stone, still survives. It tells us, in his own words, how he stood before the defeated princes of Egypt and declared his rule by divine right. He didn't destroy Egyptian culture. He embraced it, elevated it, restored temples, respected traditions. And so began the 25th dynasty, an African dynasty of black pharaohs ruling Egypt. Kings like Shabaka, Taharka, and Tantamani followed. Each left a legacy in stone. Shabaka preserved ancient Egyptian religious texts. Taharka fought the Assyrians, defended the Nile, and built grand temples from Nubia to Memphis. Even today, statues of these pharaohs, broad-nosed, thick-lipped, unmistakably African, stand in museums across the world, and yet they are barely mentioned in textbooks. But it wasn't just kings who ruled Kush. Long before women could dream of power in Europe, the kingdom of Kush had warrior queens, kandaks, who commanded armies, negotiated treaties, and stared down the Roman Empire. One of the most famous was Amanirenas. In 24 BCE, when Roman forces under Augustus tried to expand into Kushite lands, Amanirenas didn't beg for mercy. She declared war. With a fierce force, she stormed Roman-controlled Egypt, sacked Syene, modern-day Aswan, and even captured Roman statues, including one of Augustus himself. In a legendary act of defiance, she reportedly smashed out the statue's eyes before burying it beneath a temple floor. The Romans, stunned by Kushite resistance and unable to hold territory, agreed to a peace treaty. Rome would never again invade Kush. This was a woman, a black African queen, who faced down an empire and won. Kush was more than military might. It was a civilization of sacred science. The Kushites developed advanced metallurgical skills, smelting iron in furnaces centuries before many parts of the world. At Meroë, their later capital, archaeologists uncovered vast iron-working centers, making it one of the ancient world's earliest industrial complexes. Their architecture blended Egyptian grandeur with African ingenuity. At Jebel Barkal, temples carved into the cliffside aligned with celestial events. Their pyramids, over 200 of them in Sudan, are smaller than Egypt's, but often more numerous and densely packed, each marking the tomb of kings, queens, and nobles. Kushite religion revered Amun, but also included indigenous deities. They observed stars, tracked the Nile's rhythms, and practiced medicine rooted in nature. Inscriptions in Meroitic script, still only partially deciphered, suggest a complex written language system unique to the Kushites, and we are only just beginning to unlock their secrets. So why don't we know this? Why are Black Pharaohs, African queens, and scientific advances from Sudan not at the center of history books? For centuries, colonial narratives minimized African agency. Western Egyptologists like Reisner misinterpreted findings through racial lenses. Museums hoarded Kushite artifacts without telling their full story. Hollywood gave us whitewashed pharaohs, and history classes skipped over the African empires. But the truth is rising. In 2003, archaeologist Charles Bonnet discovered a temple near Kerma containing 7 monumental black granite statues, not of Egyptian gods, but of Kushite pharaohs, Taharka, Tanwetamani, and others, buried for centuries, resurrected by dust and time. Sudan today holds more pyramids than Egypt, and the story they tell is that Africa was never behind. Africa was first. The Kingdom of Kush lasted over 2,000 years. Its kings ruled the Nile. Its queens defied empires. Its people forged iron, carved stone, and gazed at the stars. They were African, they were powerful, and they were erased. But not anymore. Because the sands are shifting, the voices are returning, and the truth long buried is rising. This is not just a story of Kush. This is the story of us.